Hey everybody, it's been quite some time since I've sat down and had any videos with dialogue, and I wanted to sit down today and talk with you about some things that I've been experiencing and noticing in the world. I have changed my views dramatically since I've last spoken to you about politics, world events, things like that. I am still a member, I would say, of the prepper world. I just don't have any faith in leaders of manly leaders, without the fear of God, taking us into a place that we're not going to have any worries. It's just not going to happen. It's just not. We've had a change of office since I've spoken with you last. Things are still tumultuous. We've seen a few threats come and go about strikes with the longshoremen, and we've seen all kinds of stuff just change. And now we're in the midst of this huge egg crisis, which is ridiculous and unnecessary to be handled the way that it's being handled. But nonetheless, here we are. I feel confident telling you to not get complacent in preparing for hard times, job loss. Maybe this is just an extra tight month. You had a bill come up that you didn't know was coming, or maybe just a newborn in your family. You've got to prepare for that new expense, or these high costs we're paying. Maybe it's that, and you're trying to keep up with all of it. We all are. It's been a challenge. I'll tell you a quick story that last month, Marty and I, we went to Costco. We drove off the mountain, and we went to Costco early because we anticipated a line and we anticipated busyness. We went solely to buy eggs because Costco at the time had 5 dozen for $18 and some change. Up on the mountain where I'm living right now, 5 dozen eggs at our local Walmart was going for almost $39 and some change. And from what I understand, it's gone up higher since that. So we drove to Costco because that they had the best prices, and you're going to stock up, you want to get the best prices. Now, we'd gotten there early. I bet my husband $1 there would be a line, and sure enough, there was a line. There were 2 lines. There was one going around one end of the building and another going around the other end of the building. And I had been told that Costco was separating people into lines, like they did 2020 style. So you have your food line, you have your TP line. I expected that with the eggs, but they didn't do it. They just had the 2 lines. Okay, fair. Really long lines. And I did hear that they had a limit on eggs, and I had heard it was like 2 boxes or something, but I was wrong, and it was 3. So I was like, that's awesome, because I can get 3, my husband can get 3. And before you start thinking, oh, they're hoarding and you're why we're broke and don't have eggs, it's not like that. We share what we buy, and we immediately drove around and delivered eggs to family. So please don't do that. But nonetheless, we were buying to have a surplus for later. And there were plenty of eggs when we got there. I started to walk towards the back because my husband and I, we separated in lines. And I got in first, and I did not get a cart. I did notice my husband in the back did get a cart. Big mistake. It holds you back. And I made it to the back. As I was going to the back, people were running. I even saw a little kid with a shopping cart running to get to the back where the eggs are. And when I got back there, everyone was flooding into the dairy area to get the eggs. There was a very nice man trying to break open another big crate, and he was handing them to people, and I found out he was a customer. He was just this kind man. He might have gotten stuck there. He may still be there. I don't know. But I did also notice there was another man, and he's very tall and built, and he was kind of in the door jamb of the dairy area, and looked completely lost, like he was just completely lost. Long story short, he worked for Costco. And the people that were coming in to buy the eggs just completely bombarded this poor guy. And he was hollering over everyone's heads to a lady who was over here. And he's like, I need help. I've never done this before. This has never happened before. It was bedlam. They were trying to form lines and letting 10 people in at a time and 10 people out. Didn't happen. Not at first anyway, because I managed to just walk right in. I grabbed my 3 and I walked out, and then I saw my husband. He got stuck in the line they were forming. And I put my eggs in the cart and I said, you better go in there and get the other 3 because it's worth waiting, because this is not going to get any better. Just go get them and we can share and then stock up the rest. It was a mess, and that was just over eggs. And you people all know what was like 2020 with the toilet paper, paper towel, tissue. You couldn't find anything. Hand sanitizer, remember that? All that was gone. Bread yeast, couldn't find that. And then all of a sudden, everyone's making sourdough, because you literally capture yeast out of the air to make sourdough. You don't need to buy bread yeast. It's crazy. The human animal, when there's a shortage, the human animal, when there's a blip in their path, they can't handle it. And I even heard a man talking to his wife as we were leaving Costco, and he says to her, what's going on with the eggs? Why is there a problem? And I'm like, where have you been? You know? A lot of people I see, and I'm not judging, but I am making an observation. I see them come and go. They're buying all the kitschy stuff. They're buying the fun stuff I would love to have. But this is just not the time for that. I'm here to tell you to don't get complacent. Maintain storage of your things. Paper towel, toilet paper, eggs, if you can find them. You know, spring and summer's coming. You gotta, if you don't have friends with chickens, go make some friends that have chickens, because guess what? That's their new side hustle, and you're helping them and they're helping you. Don't shortchange them. They still have to buy scratch. They still have to buy feed. All of those things still apply. And you know, they're trying to make a living too. So give them what they're asking for. It's still better than what the alternative is, because that took an entire morning to go down there and deal with the herd of people, including myself and my husband, and then, you know, hoping there is some. We did go back to Costco last week for oranges, and because I need to have a lot of vitamin C lately, and due to health reasons. But we went to Costco, and of course we went in the back. The eggs were cleaned out. It was gone. It was gone. I mean, they had a few things of milk, and that was it. Everything was gone. And you got to get there early. But listen, we don't need eggs. We don't. Don't be afraid of that. You can get by without eggs. I have made a video, you can find it on my channel, how to bake without eggs. You could actually even make a meal without eggs if you choose to use something like tofu. You could make an egg burrito using tofu if you wanted to, or just skip the whole egg thing altogether and make something else. You know, there's a lot of people in a lot of different countries, they've been eating that way for centuries. People have no idea the diets they consume, because we just get so used to what we have and what we want, and we could just go grab it, and it's always been there. And we're facing those times, even if it's a few years apart, like the toilet paper, paper towel, eggs, and all that stuff, it's still going to happen. And I don't believe necessarily that we're going to reach an area right away where everything's just gone. But I don't like being in that situation at the store where you're going, well, geez, I hope, you know, they have some. I hope it hasn't gone up too high in price. I hope I don't get stampeded in a fight, which is very possible. It was getting heated. Right when they opened up the doors, it was getting heated for those eggs. So it's ridiculous. You can start stockpiling and preparing with little money or even no money if you just save your leftovers and freeze them. Or, like I'd explained in an earlier video, getting a food dehydrator is the cheapest way to go. Repeating meals, don't throw it out. Just change it. If you have some leftover noodles and it's tempting to just toss them because they only cost you a few cents, don't throw them away. You know, make it into another meal or a soup or something like that and stretch it. Stretch it. Keep it going. I did that for years. I was a mom of 6 of my own kids, and I had a stepdaughter too. We had a lot of little ones at the table, and many times was one income, just the one. And I made it work. It was really kind of fun sometimes, that challenge to put food on the table, but a lot of it was made at home. It was an ingredient house. And my house is largely an ingredient house still. I know a lot of moms work and they're juggling. This is where I just implore the men, please help your wives, because if they're working and they're coming home and they're trying to feed everybody with an ingredient house, you got to help, buddy. You've got to get in there and help. The other thing I wanted to bring up is to lower your standards. I know videos all over TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere you look, you are slammed with videos about baking and cooking. And the foods that they're using, for a lot of us, they're just too dang expensive. It's too much. But we've been conditioned to make these food menus, which I believe are necessary. As a family, you should have a food menu, but these food menus are absolutely ridiculous. They're not including leftovers from a mishmash of foods that you had left over. They're different every single night, and they're like, kung pao chicken, and you've got your ribs and tri-tip or stuff, like crazy stuff like that. Even lasagna is too expensive to make these days, the typical old school traditional lasagna. You might want to lower those standards so that you can prepare and put more money towards later and stretch it. We're taking a can of chicken, whether you canned it or you bought the chicken, and turning it into, say, chicken and dumplings, something like that. It's cheap. It goes a long way. You can stick vegetables in it so that the less meat content's not as, horrific, because they're still chewing and they're still eating. And remember, a lot of the foods that they're processing these days, they're designed to kind of melt in your mouth right away. It's not even real food anymore. So if you have to chew your food and it takes a minute to eat it, don't look at that like you failed and your family's like, this meal stinks. No, actually, you're feeding them real food. So it's kind of a wake-up call for your whole family. Meat shouldn't be so much of a main part of your meal. It should be kind of like the side dish in times like this. Absolutely the side dish. So you have absolutely more vegetables. You do not need a starch. You can skip the starch. If you want to, maybe some good sourdough bread for the family, that's great. That's okay. But like where we've gotten off, where we have to have this big vegetable side dish, this starchy side dish, whether it's rice, potatoes, something like that, stove top, and you've got your big old hunk of meat, get rid of all that and start looking into different ways to prepare your foods so that they stretch longer. You're not necessarily dipping into the freezer every single night to grab a thing of meat. So make some different things. Look into some different things. That will help free up your budget to buy more for the future. So this is all I'm encouraging you to do, is maybe we can get a new movement going, an anti-dinner thing, an anti-big fat lunch thing, and get away from that and start saving our money to buy things that are a little less expensive and stretch it out. You know, we've really gotten off center when it comes to food. We're told that we need to buy so much and eat so much of it and prepare it in such a way that it's just really gone crazy. But I'm just encouraging you guys, maybe some of you moms out there have some recipes that you'd like to share that you use for your families to help get by during tough times or in between paychecks. Anyway, share those videos. I would really love to see them and hear about your stories and how you guys are all doing. I do hope you guys are doing really good, and I promise to come back and bring some more topics up. I do plan on doing a video on substitutes or alternatives for cooking on the stove, some different things that you could do in case you ever lose your stove ability and maybe a power outage or something like that, and you can use something else. And that's inspired by my daughter. She's up in Washington State, and last month they had a lot of storms, and she called me and she says, I don't know what to do to heat up food if the power goes out. And I don't want her to be in that situation. I want all of you to be in a situation where you have an alternative. She's in a high apartment, so no fireplace, and really doesn't have an option for that stuff. But there's still alternatives, still things that you could do. Anyway, I want to share all that with you guys, and maybe you'll get something out of it. Please share the video with like-minded people. Let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'm still trying to grow the channel. I've been hit and miss, but I'm going to really do my best to stay consistent so we keep this channel growing and the content gets out to more people, because I'm convinced there are others like me. I can't be the only one. Until we see each other again, I hope you guys have a great night. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.